The world stood on the edge of a precipice, nations poised for conflict. It is a beautiful summer, yet a shadow hangs over the continent. The tension is palpable. Whispers of war travel on the wind, underneath the surface of elegant balls and diplomatic visits. Fear simmers. The great powers of Europe, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Russia, France, and Great Britain, are locked in a dangerous dance of suspicion and mistrust. Each nation eyes the other, their hands hovering near the hilts of their swords. The balance of power is precarious, a house of cards waiting to be toppled. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, will shatter this fragile peace. It is a spark in a powder keg, igniting a conflict that will engulf the world. This was the dawn of the Great War, a conflict that would reshape the world. Thomas, a young British journalist, documents the growing fear. Klaus, a German soldier, is drafted into the army. Marie, a French nurse, prepares for the inevitable. War is declared, and the world holds its breath. Thomas receives a mysterious letter warning of a secret plot that could change the course of the war. The morning of June 28, 1914, dawns bright and sunny in Sarajevo, Bosnia. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie are visiting the city, a symbolic gesture intended to strengthen Austro-Hungarian control over the region. But the visit ends in tragedy. As their open car drives through the streets, a young Serbian nationalist, Gavrilo Princip, fires 2 shots. The Archduke and his wife are fatally wounded. The assassination sends shockwaves across Europe. Austria-Hungary, outraged, blames Serbia and prepares for revenge. The assassination is the catalyst, the match that lights the fuse of war. But the powder keg has been prepared long before this fateful day in Sarajevo. Years of simmering tensions, political maneuvering, and military buildup have created a tinderbox ready to explode. Europe in 1914 is a web of alliances, a complex system of treaties and agreements designed to maintain peace. Ironically, these alliances will become the very chains that drag the continent into war. Germany and Austria-Hungary are bound by a pact of mutual defense. Russia pledges to protect Serbia, a fellow Slavic nation. France and Great Britain are drawn into the conflict through agreements with Russia and Belgium. These alliances are not merely lines on a map. They represent deep-seated rivalries and mistrust. Germany, a rising industrial giant, feels threatened by its neighbors and seeks to expand its influence. France, still smarting from its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, desires revenge and the return of lost territories. Great Britain, wary of any power upsetting the delicate balance of Europe, is drawn into the conflict to defend its interests. These tangled alliances, fueled by ambition, fear, and historical grievances, transform a regional conflict into a global war. What began as a dispute in the Balkans will soon engulf the entire world in its fiery embrace. Austria-Hungary, backed by Germany, issues an ultimatum to Serbia, demanding impossible concessions. Serbia, unwilling to accept such humiliation, partially refuses. The die is cast. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. The dominoes begin to fall. Russia, honoring its commitment to Serbia, mobilizes its army. Germany, viewing this as a threat, declares war on Russia. France, bound by its treaty with Russia, declares war on Germany. When Germany invades neutral Belgium to bypass French defenses, Great Britain declares war on Germany, completing the chain reaction. Within a week, Europe is at war. The great powers, locked in their intricate web of alliances, are pulled into a conflict they cannot control. The guns of August roar, and a continent marches towards its doom. Life in the trenches, a grim reality. The initial romanticism of war quickly fades as millions of soldiers find themselves bogged down in a brutal new form of warfare, trench warfare. Stretching for hundreds of miles across the Western Front, the trenches become a nightmarish world of mud, rats, and death. Soldiers on both sides endure unimaginable hardships. They live in constant fear of artillery bombardment, sniper fire, and poison gas attacks. The trenches themselves are treacherous, infested with lice and rats, and prone to collapsing in the rain. Disease is rampant, and the constant shelling takes a heavy toll on the soldiers' physical and mental well-being. Life in the trenches is a test of human endurance, a daily struggle for survival amidst unimaginable horrors. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit that soldiers could endure such conditions for years on end. Battles of attrition, Verdun and the Somme. The war on the Western Front becomes a gruesome stalemate. Massive offensives, designed to break through enemy lines, result in appalling casualties with little gain. Two battles in particular exemplify the horrors of this war of attrition: Verdun and the Somme. At Verdun, in 1916, the German army unleashes a relentless assault on the French lines. The battle rages for months, with both sides suffering unimaginable losses. Verdun becomes a symbol of French resistance, a battle fought not for strategic gain, but for national pride. The Battle of the Somme, launched by the British in the summer of 1916, is even more devastating. On the first day of the battle alone, the British Army suffers over 57,000 casualties, the bloodiest day in British military history. The Somme becomes a byword for the futility of war, a symbol of the terrible price paid for each yard of mud gained. The home front. A world transformed. The war's impact is not confined to the battlefields. The entire world is drawn into the conflict, and life on the home front is transformed. With millions of men away fighting, women take on new roles in factories, farms, and hospitals. The war effort demands unprecedented sacrifice. Governments ration food and supplies, and propaganda posters urge citizens to do their part. The war touches every aspect of life, from the workplace to the dinner table. The war also has a profound social impact. Women's contributions to the war effort challenge traditional gender roles, paving the way for greater social and political rights in the years to come. The war also exposes the deep divisions that exist within societies, as different groups grapple with the war's consequences. Armistice, a world exhausted. After 4 long years of war, a battered and exhausted Europe finally lays down its arms. The armistice, signed on November 11, 1918, brings the fighting to an end. The guns fall silent, and a stunned silence descends upon the battlefields. The war's cost is staggering. Millions lie dead, victims of bullets, bombs, and disease. Empires crumble, and the map of Europe is redrawn. The world is left grappling with the physical, economic, and psychological scars of the conflict. The legacy of war. Scars on the world. The Great War, as it came to be known, profoundly shaped the 20th century. It shattered the old order, toppled empires, and sowed the seeds of future conflicts. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, aimed to ensure lasting peace. However, its harsh terms imposed on Germany bred resentment and anger, contributing to the rise of nationalism and ultimately the outbreak of World War II. The war also left an indelible mark on the human psyche. The horrors of trench warfare, the unprecedented loss of life, and the use of chemical weapons left deep scars on an entire generation. The war forced the world to confront the dark side of human nature and the devastating consequences of unchecked nationalism and militarism. The Great War serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of diplomacy, understanding, and cooperation between nations. It's a lesson that we must never forget, lest we repeat the mistakes of the past.